Let's talk about fire and fire type explosions. Okay? Also, let me point something out to you. Guys, when you look at Max created effects in Hollywood, when you look at video games, but primarily, stuff like TV shows and feature films and all, they're not using the off-the-shelf way of doing things like we are here. They're incorporating a plugin. You guys know what a plugin is? It's a piece of software. Some are free. The better plugins, they charge you for them. But a plugin, guys, you install it inside the software that you're using, and it makes the software bigger, badder-ass, and better than it currently is. So I'm showing you the off-the-shelf way of doing things. There are plugins specifically for fire that do, frankly, a lot better job than just Max's default fire do. Okay, in fact, I'll show you a couple examples of those in a couple days or so. But this is a formidable way of doing it. And what you can do, guys, with a fire effect is very wide-ranging. You could go out to the Boy Scouts and make a campfire. You could walk through the woods with a torch. You could make a fireball shooting through space. Because you can actually change the colors of the fire, you can also do cloud formations. You could create space nebula that is kind of floating around. So there's different things that you can do with it. We'll show you what the effects are, and then you kind of go from there. Now, guys, with creating fire, though, there are a couple things that you need to be aware of. The first, I don't know if I ever told you this, face particles, the facing type of particles. You can only render them in a camera or a perspective view, because that's what they line up with. Facing type particles, you can't render an orthographic view, like a front or a top or a left. Well, fire systems are the same way. They will not show up in a flat 2D view. So it has to be either a camera or a perspective. They will not render, guys, in an orthographic view. That's a fancy name to say 2D, okay? Also, guys, fire effects, they don't by themselves throw off light. They don't by themselves cast shadows on objects around them. So if you need it to look like there's light coming off of the campfire, or there's maybe shadows that are coming off of the logs that are underneath the fire itself, you would have to create a separate light for that. A separate, like an omni-light or something to push that out, okay? Lastly, guys, the fire in Max is created by putting it in a scalable container. There's a container that actually holds the fire. You got that? There's different shapes, and they're scalable, like I said, so you can kind of stretch those around. Okay, so let's kind of look at the way these work. Activate your top window. And you're going to find them, guys, under the helpers. We don't go here very often, so if you're down, you're in the create column, and then the second row of icons are available. Now look what we have. We have geometry, shapes, lights, cameras. It's the little framing square. That's the helpers. So go ahead now and click on that. Okay, very good. And then what you want to do, guys, once you're in the helpers, go under standard, and it's called an atmosphere apparatus. So go up to the atmosphere apparatus. Okay, and there's your three container shapes. You can make a box, you can make a sphere, and you can make a cylinder. So let's start with the box. Now, guys, watch. We're going to have enough room for three of these to go across horizontally. So start on the far left side, and the box will drag from the corner. So go ahead now and drag that down. Make it look kind of like a cube. And then when you let go, push up or down. I'll say push up. And then make that dimension kind of the same in the front. So it could be a long column. It doesn't have to be square like we made it here. Okay. Can you go now to the cylindrical, the cylinder gizmo, and make that right in the middle of that view. And about the same size going around. And then when you let go, push up about the same distance. Okay, so the shape will be contained inside that cylinder. Now for a spherical gizmo, guys, go to the right of those in the top window. Kind of put them close to each other. And then go ahead and make the spherical. and about the same size. Now, what you will notice in the front view, guys, is the other two are made on the grid. The spherical is also made on the grid, but it's the pivot point that lines up. So in the front view, move that up so they're all kind of at the same level. And kind of tuck them right next to each other. The farther apart they are, guys, the smaller they're going to be during the render. So kind of put them right next to each other, tuck them close together. Okay, take your perspective view full screen. You can hit Z. And, click away and hit Z, I'm sorry. And then if you want to kind of get these all straight, go and click on the one in the middle, and then orbit. Remember, you always orbit around what you have selected. So kind of go to a side view here, make the grid kind of flat, and then you can zoom in a little bit farther. I remind you guys, if you're not real happy with the zoom, I'm too close, I'm too far away, look at this. You can always use the magnifying glass on the lower right corner. The magnifying glass is a little more sensitive to the way that you would zoom. So there we go. You get yourself in position. Okay? Okay, very good. So let's see where we can now set these up. You can click away. Okay, we're actually going to go, guys, to the very same place that we just changed the background color to white. Hit A. Well, you know what? I better show you where it is. Go to the rendering pull down and look for the 8. You'll see it about halfway down on the right. See, it's called environment. I was just hitting the 8 command. So open up the environment. So that's where we were last time in the top left corner. Now, to add the fire, guys, you see about halfway down where it says atmosphere. And then there's a blank area where you're going to fill with effects. See the add button on the right of that? Click on add. And it's going to be in here, guys. And you know what? We're going to look at all these before the semester's over. Go ahead and select fire effect. And you can say OK. Very good. Okay, now we'll get to the settings on this in just a second. What we now need to do is we need to pick, now these are called gizmos. These little cages are called gizmos. We now need to identify the gizmos that we want to put this specific fire effect in. You could have 15 different fire effects in the scene, each of those with their own entries and controllable settings. But here's what I want to do. Can you look, guys, right above the color swatches where it says Pick Gizmo? Go ahead and click on that. And now click on, let's say, the box gizmo. Bless you. Okay, and then click on Pick Gizmo again. And now click on the cylindrical gizmo. You have to pick on gizmo or Pick Gizmo button each time. Click on Pick Gizmo again. And now go ahead and get the sphere. Okay, now once you've done that, guys, watch where I am. Look to the right of that, and if you open up the arrow, you should see all 3 of them now associated with this one fire effect. So they'll all look the same, even though they'll be contained in a different looking container. Okay? Okay, very good. Okay, now once we've done that, now we can actually render these through. So let's go ahead. Are they as big as you can get them on the screen? Go ahead and render. Okay, so there are the fire effects themselves. So you can see they are a little bit different as far as how they fill the shape on which they're contained. So what do you have? The box on the left, the sphere on the right. I think typically you're going to use the sphere gizmo, but then you've got the cylinder there in the middle. Okay? Now what you can also do on this, guys, is you can scale these, as I was saying before. So go ahead and select them all. Go to the scale command and just scale them in blue so they now pretty much fit the window. Okay, and then render these again. And you get a little better idea now how those indeed look. Okay, if you want a bigger picture, leave the render window open and then open the render settings right up to the left-hand side of the render button. You can type F10 too. It's that little teapot with the gold little thing on it. Okay, lock the numbers together, 640, 480, hit the lock, and then why don't you take your 640 to like 1,000. Press enter, and the bottom one will change to 750. I'll render, it'll just be a bigger picture. So there they are, before anything is adjusted on them. Okay? Okay, now close that up, go to 4 views, and attempt to render, notice the word attempt to render one of the flat windows. They just don't work. You don't get a message, they just don't work. Activate again the perspective and do it again. So it's working, it's just not available in the flat windows. Okay. Okay, guys, now that you know how to set them up, let's see if we can't use this as an example here. Let's do a new scene, reset. I've got the break at 5:40, so we've got a little time to work on this. What we're going to do is we're going to create a trash can fire. So maybe out back so the homeless guys can kind of heat up in the winter. Hit the green button open. You know, one of these days that could be all of us. So, you know, you always want to respect them. They're humans just like we are. Go to student access. SID 65 resources and scenes. Just when you think you're on the top of the world, man, life can beat you down. Okay, let's get the trash can fire. You shouldn't get any warning messages. I put the maps where you can load them. Save it up. Give it back to you. Okay, very good. What we're going to end up doing here, guys, is creating this right here. So this is going to be our fire effect. Okay? Okay, so let's see how we can now pull that off. Oops. Okay. Okay, now the first thing we want to do is go to our apparatus. So we're going to make this at the top. You can activate that. We're going to go now to the helpers, get that little framing square. Under standard, go to atmospheric apparatus. And guys, this will best be made, if you look at the top of this, okay, this is best going to be made with a spherical gizmo. So let's go ahead and pull that one off here. And I'll show you how we can adjust this. So go to spherical. And then right in the middle of the green trash can in the top window, go ahead now and pull that out like a sphere. So what you're going to want to do, guys, is basically make it the same size as the trash can itself. Okay? Okay, now one thing I didn't show you is there's a, go to the modify column, there's a setting on here called hemisphere. Okay? It's the same way it works on a sphere, it cuts off the bottom. So turn hemisphere on. There. Okay, so we actually just want the flame going up. Now in the front window, notice it was made on the grid. See the horizontal grid? You want to kind of move it up, guys, so it's just below the top lip of the trash can. I want it buried there at least a little bit. Okay. Now, you'll know, guys, when it's too big or too small because it won't fill what it looks like it ought to fill. Another thing I want to remind you of, guys, is this apparatus, the flames don't typically go toward the extents, toward the exact outside. They can, but then they don't look very real. So sometimes the apparatus will actually be scaled bigger than the hole, in this case, that the fire's emanating out of. But we can adjust that. Okay. What I do want to do is I want it to go a little higher up. So activate the camera view. Go to scale. Okay, and what we're looking at here, guys, is when you start to scale the Z, I want you to look down below the 65. And you know what, yours may not be on the 65. I've got a different screen. Look below the timeline. What's that? 75. Okay, look below your 75 and look at how far percentage the Z is scaling. You see that number? Why don't we take that up, guys, to about 165. Somewhere around 165 or so. Okay. And we can adjust the radius over here on the right. So let's just kind of leave it the way it is, and then we'll see what we might need to adjust. Okay. Can I show you another way to add the fire? You're in the modify column for the apparatus. It's right there. If you look down below, guys, you'll see the atmospheric effects right here. So click on add. And then from here, you only have two choices. Click on fire effect. And there it is. Okay. Now, once we have that, now we need to get to the settings. Watch how you open the settings up. Click on the name fire effect in the box. and then click on Setup. Okay, very good. Go ahead and push those off to the left side. So when we render, we'll be able to see what we're working on there in the camera window. Okay? Okay, now the settings, guys, are going to be below pretty much the color swatches. So push all that up so you go down to the bottom. So look at this category, Fire Effect Parameters. And notice that the pick gizmo has already been selected correctly because of the way we laid it on over the Modify column. Okay, first thing to think about here, guys, is the type of flame. You can either make these tendrils, okay, or you can make these a fireball. Now the tendrils are going to create pointed flames that have veins. That would be ideal for creating flames. The fireball, well, that's going to be better for a puff of fire as if it's coming out of an explosion. So we ought to leave it, no, we ought to change it over to, well here, try both. Leave it on fireball and render. Okay, now instead change it to tendril and render. So the tendrils are actually going to do a better job for us. Okay? Okay, very good. Let's go to the next setting. Again, you can just kind of leave that open on the side there. The stretch. Go down to your characteristics. Or the shape, rather, right below that. See the stretch? This scales the flame up and down in the Z direction. So Z is up and down. Okay, this will stretch the flame. Now, guys, this works best with a tendril type of flame. Okay? Because it's going to create kind of an oval shape to these things. Now, values, guys, that are less than 1 have a tendency to kind of compress the flame, making them shorter and thicker. And then if you use a stretch that's larger than 1, it stretches the flame and kind of makes them kind of long and skinny. So let's see what we can do on this one. Take the stretch to 5. This should make a long, skinny flame. Stretch to 5 and render. Yeah, look at that. So take the stretch back or to 1. Look at that. Okay, let's end, guys, at 0.8. The stretch will be 0.8. And render that. Okay. Okay, now the next thing to concern yourself with, straight down from there under characteristics, is the flame size. By the way, guys, I've got a handout I'm going to give you on this. So that'll help you out, okay? Now the flame size controls the individual flame's size in the apparatus itself. Now the size, guys, of the apparatus does control the size of the flame. So a larger apparatus, guys, will basically create a larger size flame. Be aware of that. Okay. Now you want to use a range on the flame size of typically somewhere between maybe 15 to 30. That's going to work best. Large values will create fireball type flames, and the smaller values will create more of that tendril, that veiny look. So let's try the flame size here. Let's go up to 50 and render. Go to 25 and render. Go to 18 and render. So the lower the number, the more you start to see the veins in these little tendrils. Okay. Now, density, just to the right of that. This sets the opacity. That's the transparency. This sets the opacity and the brightness of the fire effect. So change the density. It's at 15. It's change the opacity and the brightness. Change it to 30 and render. See it get brighter? Change it instead to 5 and render. It shouldn't be as bright. Look at that. So let's take it back to where it started, density of 15. Okay. Now, a couple other settings that you've got here, guys. Regularity, it's above that. It's to the right of stretch. This modifies how the flames fill the apparatus. Now, this is the one you got to be careful of here. The regularity, guys, the higher the number, the more completely it'll fill that little container. If you go too high, it just doesn't look very realistic. The range on this is just 0 to 1. So try a regularity of 1. And if you render, see, it just completely fills the size of the apparatus itself. That's not so good. If you try 0 and render, okay. Now you can see it creates a very irregular looking plane that's quite a bit smaller. So let's just remember the regularity will determine how much it fills the container. 0.2 typically is where you'll kind of leave it. You can make it a little bit bigger if you want. So this is a good example, guys. If you leave the regularity down there, it's not filling the entire apparatus. And that means that you can take that container and scale it bigger, so more of the flame looks like it's getting to the edge of the can. Okay? Okay, now you also have flame detail. That would be back under characteristics. Okay, now this controls the amount of color change and the edge sharpness on the flames. Color change and edge sharpness. The value goes from 0 to 10. Now when you use a lower value, guys, it creates a kind of a smoother, fuzzier flame. Frankly, it doesn't look as good. It does render faster, okay? But it doesn't look as good. So try a flame detail of 1. Okay, so it just loses some of its detail there. Now a higher number is going to create a sharper looking flame, albeit at a longer render time. So take the flame detail, let's say to 10. This will have a lot more detail to it. See that? So many more details there. Let's just take it back where it was, guys, to 3. Okay. Now, let's see. We also have samples up in the characteristics. Now, guys, you know what samples do? We were worried with that when we were doing the particles. And the blur, it controls the number of times that Max looks at it before it renders. So a higher sample number, guys, is going to make it more accurate, albeit at a longer render time. So try samples of 50 and see if it makes a more precise looking flame. Try a samples of 2 and look at the difference there. So you're losing a lot of your detail on that. Let's take it back to the default, samples 15. Okay, so there we go. I think one of the most important things to understand is size does matter with these guys. What I mean by that is if you're using a larger apparatus, you're going to have to go higher with your numbers to get the details. The smaller the apparatus, you can use smaller numbers and get away with it. But if you get a big apparatus, a big container, you've got to be a little tighter on your numbers being accurate. So just be aware of that, okay? Okay, so what I think we can probably do on this is let's change the radius now back on the gizmo. So I'm going to put my radius out so it actually sticks out of the can. And then I'm going to render again because I want it to go all the way out to the edge. There. Okay, and if I want, I could probably increase maybe the detail on my flame a little bit. I'm going to detail of 10. Yeah, that makes it a little bit better looking there. You got it? Okay. Okay, colors. Well, guys, you can also control the color of the flame. Now, you have 3 different color controls. You have an inner color. This is the densest part of the flame, and it's typically the hottest part of the flame. So that's the reason you've got that set at yellow. Now, watch this. Open up the yellow, leave it open, and change the hue to blue. And now render. And you can see what that does to the color. Okay. Now instead, guys, take that back to yellow, so reset. And you can render. Okay, and then you have the outer flame. This is the sparsest part of the flame. This is typically the cooler part of the flame. So open up the red and change that to blue. And render. And then change that back to reset with red. And render that. Okay? And then lastly on the colors, guys, you have the smoke color. Now listen very carefully. If you look a little farther down, you'll notice that there's an explosion control. You see explosion? On a regular fire, you don't get the black smoke. It's typically on the explosion where the black actually plays in. So unless you have explosion on, the black is actually on the smoke color nullified. It doesn't play in. It's only when you have explosion on, that's when you could time out with an explosion, then it would make a difference there. Okay. Well, what I want to do, guys, before we go to break, is I want to animate the flame's movement here. Okay? Now, it's going to look kind of funny just sitting there all by itself. So let's see if we can't get this thing to churn up here a little bit. Turn on your auto key. Okay, go to frame 100. I'm going to ask you for an answer. It's something we haven't looked at yet. Can you see any setting whatsoever you think we've used to animate the flame?
Phase.
Phase. The phase. Absolutely. So what I want you to do, guys, on this is the rate of change. You're at frame 100. Change the phase to, let's say, 500. Okay, now this is just a number that you're going to have to experiment with. Now you'll also notice there's a drift. Now this will control, guys, how far and how fast this actually goes up in the Z direction. Okay? So let's go ahead now and take the drift also to about 200. So they're both going to kind of control, the phase will do the churning, and then the drift will kind of make it move up a little bit more. Okay, let's render this out and then we'll go to break. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit F10. If you don't get your render settings up, just go ahead and open those up. Mine wasn't working for some reason, so you just hit the render settings. Okay, we'll change the time output, guys, to active time segment. We'll do this as an 800 by 600. It'll render over the break. That'll give us a little bit of time. Okay, and then we'll go down. We're going to shy away from the QuickTime Movie here. Next to render output, click Files. Okay, let's put it in your folder on the server. Just call it trashcan or whatever you like down below. Okay, save as type, we'll go AVI. And then when you save, you should get, yeah, this one pops right up. I wonder if he doesn't have QuickTime on these machines. He may not think it's necessary. Guys, on this one, the compressor, frankly, these all suck unless it's uncompressed and they get real big. So just go to the MPEG compressor. And it's actually going to change the size of the rendering. I'll change the quality to 100 and say OK. And then let's go ahead and save it out one last time. It's yours. And then you can go ahead now and render. So that'll take a moment on that. Okay. Okay, let's get out of here for 10. We'll come back. We'll do something real quick. See if we can't maybe throw some more points your way. And then we'll hand out the projects, talk them over, and see if anybody has any questions on that. Okay? Very good. So I will see you in 10 minutes, guys. 5 minutes to 6. We'll be back in action. How's that? 5 to 6.